Hi there. Welcome to Crochet CJ episode 44. All right. For those of you who don't know me or have seen me many times before, I am a wife, mom, and midwife, and I'm a born-again Christian, and I love people enough to tell them that. So we're going to jump right in with finished objects. So the last time we got together, I was doing the Cuddle and Play cow blanket. So I took a picture of it, so I know that's kind of glary, but that's what he looks like when you fold him up and put him over the side of a chair. He's supposed to go over the side of a crib, right? And then you can fold the blanket out and lay it on the floor, and the baby can lay on it and play on it, so that's awesome. That pattern, I'm pretty sure I shared after my last video, but I'll make sure and share it in the description. You guys that know me know that I will upload this video tonight while I'm sleeping, because it takes forever to upload a video. Don't know if it's internet or my device or what, but we'll do that after I go to bed. And then tomorrow I will sit down and add all the links into the patterns and I'll list the names of any YouTubers that I discussed today too. So the Cuddle and Play cow blanket is from Crochet Arcade. You can purchase the pattern and then go purchase your own yarns. I used Soft and Sleek Chunky white 900 yards, gray 420 yards, soft pink 10 yards, and mustard 10 yards. And I purchased that. That's a Hobby Lobby brand, the Soft and Sleek. And it worked out really well. So one of my friends was telling me though that she purchased her pattern from, I know I told you guys this, Mary Maxim. And it comes with the kit, right? So it comes with the pattern, with the kit, with the yarn. I use a little bit of black thread. I did use safety eyes. I just chose to use safety eyes because I didn't know that I could make good looking eyes with embroidery thread. My friend that purchased the kit from Mary Maxim, they did not send her enough yarn to make the blanket. So, and they use a Red Heart Super Saver Chunky is what they send in their kit. And I know that they've had several people tell them that there's not enough yarn in the kit, so hopefully they've corrected that problem by now. Sorry, I'm holding the book up in front of me. If I don't keep notes, I don't know what I talk about from week to week. And if you're wondering, my attention keeps being drawn away. There are two dogs down here just like they think they just need to be right here in my face. Let's see if we can do this without making too much of a mess. So there's Jake. He's trying to hide now. And then Neville's over there. Neville's getting a haircut tomorrow, so sorry, I know. Moving the camera around isn't very nice to people who are watching it because it can make you sick. Anyway, so that's that one. My second finished object, I made some back scrubbers, and I just kind of winged it, all right? I did 20 across chain, and then I just went back single crochet, and then the handles are half double crochet, and I just made them as long as I thought they needed to be. You know, you just kind of try it out, right? So I think I decided that 20 across was a little too wide, so the next time I did it 15 across. So this is Premier Washi yarn. I don't know the color name. It quite possibly is Red Heart Scrubby yarn too, because I had some of both. And silly me, didn't keep the wrappers. Now, I held it with this Premier Home Cotton in black and silver. Yeah, black and silver. So this is Premier Home Cotton, black and silver. Of course, you know, it's got the sparkly through it. So I thought that looked kind of fancy. So I held those together and just did single crochet, back and forth single crochet until I ran out of washi or scrubby or whatever this is. When I ran out of that, then I used the rest of the black. I used black to make the handles. I also made one with pink, and see, it's a little bit longer because I made it narrower, so I think it works better. But I also used the Premier Black and Silver Home Cotton with it. I thought it turned out really cute. Gives a little bit of bling to your scrubby. And then this one, of course, is mine. It is purple. And pretty much did the same thing. Actually, this one's a little bit longer. I don't know why it's longer than the other two. But again, I just, you know, you just kind of go across as wide as you think you need it to be. And I mean, I'm sure there's patterns for them out there. I've seen a knitted pattern, and I'm sure there's crochet patterns. I did crochet because that's just easier for me. The handles I did are half double crochet. So on those, I just like, when I got to the end of the washi, I used just the Premier Home Cotton and did 5 rows across right here. And then because you can see where I ran out of washi, and the rest of that is just Premier Home Cotton. So then I just did 5 rows back across, and I just did 5 rows half double crochet across 5 times until I got it as long as I thought the handle needed to be. And then I attached it to the other side and did the same thing. So that was fun to make, and now I have a lovely back scrubber, and I have a couple of blingy ones to give away to friends. My next finished object is a pattern test that I did for Hannah at Cozy Cottage, and she wrote a pattern called the November Sky Beanie, and I'm pretty sure she's released it. I do not do Ravelry any longer, so I don't keep up with that kind of stuff. So I used Loops and Threads Snuggly Wuggly. It's a DK weight yarn, and oh, I'm sorry. Well, it is a DK weight, and it is dark turquoise. I used about 120 yards. I pattern tested the child size for her, and see, it's got these really pretty little kind of cable looking things. It was, you know, it's a top down beanie, and so I have never done the brim the way that she did it, and I was really excited to learn that technique. But anyway, she has 4 different sizes. She just didn't have somebody to do the child size one, so I told her I'd do it, and it turned out really cute, and I would try it on and show you, but I don't have a child size head. I have an adult size head. Anyway, and then Vintage Vibe Hat. I told you guys about that pattern last time, and I'm pretty sure I linked it below in the description, and I made it out of Bloom in the daffodil color. I don't know what kind of yardage I used on it, just because I had made a baby blanket and some baby hats, and I just still had some left because the Bloom yarn has a lot of yardage on it. So it's just really pretty. It's got these little flower things, and you can make more than 1 row of those. I mean, I know I showed you guys the pattern last time. There's like 5 or 6 different versions of the pattern. One of them I had said, oh, that would make a really cute, you know, headband. Well, what I didn't look at was the very last pattern is actually a messy bun ponytail hat, but it would still make a cute headband. So there you go. And I was watching Debbie at the Canadian Crocheter, and someone had sent her these beautiful knitting row counters, and they're chains that made out of beads, and you can do them with numbers on them. I couldn't find the numbers, so I just went with beads. This one is actually for me. There are 10 of these big rings and then a bead in between, so you can mark up to 10 rows on knitting. I thought they were so pretty, and then I put little charms at the end of all the ones I made. Then I made some for some of my friends, and I'm going to send those out to them, you know, and they're all different colors. Mine has purple in it, okay? And then I made all theirs with different colors, so well, I'll get those sent out to them. And I I guess it would be nice if I showed you what they look like, and I didn't bring them out here with me. I'm filming in my living room because I moved some things around in my room where I keep all my yarn, and I don't have a good place to set up right now until I do some more maneuvering. And I just bought the beads and the findings and all that to make those row counters at Hobby Lobby. These, through the beads you put the little eye pins, you know. Of course, then you have to cut the eye pin off and bend it. That was challenging. I had a few wounds. There was a little blood and sweat in making those knitting row counters chains. There was no tears, but just some sweat and blood in those, because I did like nick my little finger on a sharp edge of one of those eye things. So it is not for the faint of heart. All right, whatever. So those are all of my finished objects. Joys in progress. So I started the Magnolia Cardigan. I think I might have told you guys about it last time. The Magnolia Cardigan is from Two Brothers Blankets, and it takes quite a bit of yarn. The extra small takes like 870 yards, and the 2X takes 1,502 yards. So sorry guys, I end up going with the big guns, right? I am using Caron cotton cakes to make it in the lilac color, and it's 8.8 ounces with 530 yards, 60% cotton, 40% acrylic. One thing I found that was really helpful is, I know this is a yarn bowl for a ball of yarn, but I just set my cotton cake down in it and had it sitting next to me, and did my center pull, and the cake just sat in there perfectly. I mean, like when I got toward the end, it was like there was just this one little thin layer of yarn on the inside of this yarn band, so I didn't get like yarn barf or tangles or anything. So I just finished my first cake. It's going to take me 3 cakes to do it because I'm doing the big one, and so this is my progress so far, and it's just a really pretty pattern. And I promise when I finish it, I will actually be far enough away from the camera that you can see what the entire thing looks like. But this is just one panel, obviously, of it right now. It calls for a 2-weight yarn. I know that the Caron cotton cakes say they're a 4, they're more like a 3, so I am making it probably a little bit heavier yarn than it calls for, but I like it. It calls for a sport weight yarn, number 2. So, and I'm using like a number 3 more. That might be a light 3. I don't know. One of my other joys in progress is I finally started knitting socks. Okay. So I finished one sock, and that's why it's a joy in progress, because there's only one that's finished. Okay, it doesn't look like much when it's just sitting here, but it looks really good on my foot. Okay, it's a sock. I should have brought my sock blockers out and put it on my sock blockers, because that way you can kind of see what it looks like on my foot. Anyway, I really like it. Purple socks. Can you imagine me wanting purple socks? The pattern is My Favorite Vanilla Socks by Megan Schmaltz, and she is the Unapologetic Knitter. This pattern is really great. It's made for DPNs, which I have DPNs, but I didn't use those because she also does a video series from casting on to doing the Kitchener stitch on the toe of the sock. She has several different videos on YouTube for those, and she uses circular needles. So the yarn I used is Premier Deborah Norville Serenity in the color Garden. There are 185 yards in 65 ounces, and it's 100% micro acrylic. So here's what I have left of one skein of yarn, and I have a second one so I can make the other sock. So you probably aren't going to use as much if you have smaller feet or make shorty socks, you know, with just the cuff and go straight into the heel. But I made them a little bit longer, and I have another one to make my other ones with. So I have to make the other sock. My sweet friend Mary from Mary's Crochet Chit Chat, my sister from another mister, sent me a pair of socks, and so I decided I better get going. And she's the one that steered me toward this pattern and steered me toward this lady's videos, and very, very nice videos, very well done. And so I'm excited to finish my other sock and get that done. They are made on Chigu size 1 US circular needles. It's a 9-inch circular, and it is 2.25 millimeter. Look how tiny that is. Okay, so that leads to my acquisitions. I acquired a set of 9-inch circulars. I have a set of Chigu interchangeables, but I didn't have any needles this small, so I ordered these. They're awesome, done on 9-inch circulars. Was really, I mean, she gears these videos towards somebody who's never made a sock before. And yes, you need to know how to knit and purl, but she makes it so easy for the beginner to do these socks. I'll link the videos below, and you guys are not going to believe just how awesome it is to do these socks, you know, even if you have very little experience as a knitter. Now, I ordered a second set of these because I've been told that it's much easier if you start both your socks at the same time, so that you don't get second sock syndrome, which is where you finish the sock and you're like, no way am I doing the other sock. I don't have second sock syndrome. I'm excited to start the other sock and get it done. Now, granted, I've had several days off this week just because it's been a good week, but I started these socks last Saturday, and it's Thursday and they're done. So and I just worked on them. You know, I did like the cuff, and then I stopped and did the from the cuff to the heel, and then I did the heel flap, and then, you know, I did the heel, there's something else it's called, and I'm losing it. Okay, you guys will figure it out when you watch your videos. And then I did the gusset, which I guess is what I'm talking about. And then I did, you know, like the sock portion between the heel and the toe, and then the toe. So like each day I did one thing, and today I did the toe and finished it up. And so, like I said, she does a really excellent job of teaching you how to do this. She's very modest, very humble, but very nice lady. And so I'll link those below. The other thing that I got since I've seen you guys is I received a big box of goodness from my Yarny Friends. One of the things in that box were my socks from my sweet friend Mary, and then there were several other things, some of them kind of funny, some of them very sweet, and just a really nice pick-me-up. You know, when your friends get together and send you a box of goodness just because, you know, it's not my birthday, it's not anything going on, it's just because. So I thought that was really sweet of them to do, and I look forward to sending them all a little something, and doing nice things for them too, and for other people. I also made myself some stitch markers for knitting. They just are on the little ring, and it just makes it easier because you're slipping that little ring from needle to needle when you're going around, so that you can mark your place, and it works out really well. And so most of mine are, stitch markers for crochet, and they have like lever backs or lobster claws on them. These are just circled. They don't have as many little mechanisms on them to catch your yarn when you're knitting, so it works out really well. And you know, so I really think those are cute. You know, if I had to start a new business, that would be making little things to make your life easier when you're knitting and crocheting. So that's definitely something I would do. My sock bag right now is my Star Wars bag. Sandy made me a little shamrock. And then I have my secret yarnery button, but I made this out of some fabric that I got from one of my sweet friends, and Rose from Rose Likes Crochet. So I'm going to put my socks stuff back in there so I do not lose it, and we'll go from there. So I guess the big thing right now is all the stuff going on with the coronavirus, the social distancing, and you know, I know there have been a lot of memes out there on Facebook and stuff about I posted one myself that was like, someone said, what are you doing with your time while you're at home, and you know, crafting, and what happens if you run out of supplies? And I laughed and laughed, you know, because I do have a nice supply of yarn and fabric and I could craft for a while. That being said, I do still have to work. I do still go out. You know, I work in healthcare, so you have to go to work. And you know, they're taking precautions, and they're teaching us all precautions. A lot of places in the country, I think, have gone to, a lot of restaurants have gone to just drive-through or carry out, not seating. There are still fewer restaurants that do inside seating and stuff, but I think they've done a good job. I've been getting emails from every company that I get, you know, that I purchase things from, have been sending out emails about what they're doing about coronavirus and precautions. And I know that Penny's and Macy's stores have said they're going to close their stores. Cato has closed their stores, and you know, for at least 2 weeks. And that's kind of been the thing, you know, that social distancing for 2 weeks. And so a lot of the stuff that's being instituted right now in our country is based on, you know, that 2 weeks to decrease the contagiousness, you know, I don't know, that probably doesn't sound right. Go to cdc.gov. They really have some good information, and they really tell you some smart things. You know, don't give in to the panic. Remember who's in control, okay? God's in control. And I urge you, if you are a person who believes in prayer, even if you're not, God will listen to you. And you know, I think that we need to pray for one another, and pray for our country, and pray for the world during this time. It is very scary. I'm not going to make light of it. I'm not going to say, well, you know, more people die from the flu and things like that, because I get that everyone's heard that. And more people do die from the flu. And you know, the way that we're going to combat this really is common sense. Wash your hands. Wash your hands. Wash your hands. Cover your mouth and nose when you sneeze or cough. If you are sick, especially if you have a fever, if it's mild illness, they're telling people to stay home and just, you know, get plenty of fluids, plenty of rest, take over-the-counter medications. You know, obviously if it's more severe, you're going to need to be in a hospital. It's more severe, you know, for some people than it is for others. And so definitely, you know, do the smart thing. But a lot of it is just common sense. I mean, I can't understand why we have to tell people to wash their hands, or to, you know, vampire cough. Just in the side of your arm or whatever. Not touching your face, okay, as I touch my face. Which is hard not to do. Okay, we all touch our face, but just make sure you're washing your hands, using hand sanitizer. I'm really just amazed at the people who have panicked and gone out and bought up every bit of toilet paper in the country. It's ridiculous. Other things too. I mean, it's hard to find bread, and it's hard to find milk, and it's hard to find you know, sanitizers and things like that. You know, people have really overreacted. You know, I'm not saying there's not cause for concern, but I really feel like people have overreacted and made this worse than it needed to be. Whatever the case may be, do what you need to do to keep yourself and your family safe. Take care of yourselves. Wash your hands. You know, stay away from people if you're sick. And you know, just be kind to one another and good to one another. I've seen a lot of selfishness throughout this, but I've also seen a lot of good people doing kind things and taking care of others. You know, check on your neighbors, especially if they're elderly. Check on them, make sure they're okay, make sure they don't need anything. You know, that might be your family member that you're far away from and can't do anything to help them. There's a lot of travel bans going on. You know, I have friends who've been told that if they go out of state, then they can't come back to work for 2 weeks, and it's just, it's a difficult time, okay, and I understand that. But just like always, remember that Jesus loves you and so do I, and you all take care of yourselves. Bye.